The knock at the lake. It was a calm Saturday morning. I had just arrived at my peaceful lake cabin, a place I visit to unwind, away from the daily chaos of my job as the chief of police, nestled quietly between tall pine trees. Overlooking the serene water, this cabin had been in my family for generations. I was unpacking groceries when I heard a loud knock at the door. Strange. Nobody should know I was here. I opened the door, and standing there was a young man, maybe 19 or 20, dressed in flashy clothes, sunglasses on, and chewing gum like he owned the world. Behind him, a group of equally loud and flashy teens loitered near their expensive cars, music blasting. "You the owner of this place?" the guy asked with a smirk. "I am," I replied, cautious. "I'm Brad, Karen's son. You know, head of the HOA around here? We're throwing a party tonight. My mom said your cabin is vacant most weekends, so we're using it. Cool?" I blinked. "Not cool," I said. "This is private property. You're not invited, and it's definitely not for rent or party use." Brad scoffed. "Come on, man, it's just one night. We already told people it's happening. My mom said she'd handle it with the HOA. I don't care what your mom said. This is my cabin." He rolled his eyes. "Look, either you hand over the keys or we'll just break in after you leave. You can't be here every second." That was the moment I realized who I was dealing with. Not just an entitled teen, but a mini version of Karen herself. I smiled calmly and reached into my back pocket. "Well, Brad," I said, flashing my badge, "that would be breaking and entering. And I'd be the one arresting you, because I'm Chief Eric Thomas of the county police." His face turned pale. You're a cop?" "No, Brad, I'm the cop around here." He backed away a few steps. "Whatever, man. This place is lame anyway." I shut the door and locked it. As I peered through the blinds, I saw him angrily texting someone, probably his mom. I knew that was just the beginning. Karen storms the cabin. The next morning, I sat on the cabin porch, sipping my coffee and enjoying the early mist over the lake. The silence was golden, until it wasn't. A black luxury SUV screeched to a halt in the gravel driveway. The door flung open, and out stepped Karen in full fury, hair done to perfection, sunglasses too big for her face, clipboard in hand, and rage radiating off her like summer heat. She marched up to the porch without so much as a greeting. "Eric," she barked, "we need to talk." I raised an eyebrow. "Good morning, Karen. What can I do for you?" "You humiliated my son yesterday." "You had no right." I kept my voice calm. "Karen, your son showed up uninvited and tried to take over private property." "That's not humiliation, that's trespassing." Karen huffed. "You know, I'm the president of the HOA, and you know this cabin is listed under shared, community usage. You're not even supposed to be here more than 4 weekends a year." "That's a lie," I said flatly. "This cabin was grandfathered in long before the HOA was formed. It's not subject to your rules, and I've got the original deed to prove it." She tried to mask her surprise, but failed. That's beside the point. Brad already invited over 50 guests for his birthday party. It's his senior year. Are you really going to ruin that for him? "I'm not ruining anything. He never had permission. This isn't a party zone, it's a peaceful lake retreat. And again, it's mine." She stepped closer, lowering her voice like she was offering a shady deal. "Look, we can make this go away. Let him throw the party just one night. I'll have the HOA waive your next 2 fees." I smiled. "Nice try. But I'm not for sale, Karen, and the more you push, the worse this is going to get, for you and for Brad." Her face turned red with frustration. "This isn't over, Eric. You'll regret this." "I doubt it," I said, standing up and walking inside. "I've dealt with worse than an HOA president throwing a tantrum." As I locked the door behind me, I saw her storm back to her SUV. She picked up her phone, yelling into it as she drove off in a cloud of dust. I had a feeling she was planning something bigger and dumber, and I was ready for it. Party crashers and police protocol. The sun dipped behind the hills, casting long shadows across the lake. I'd spent the rest of the afternoon tightening security, literally. I installed a new deadbolt, checked the cameras around the property, and even put up a private property sign on the trail leading to the dock. Still, something told me Karen wasn't done. Around 9:30 p.m., I heard it. Engines, multiple vehicles, laughter, bass-heavy music, and the telltale whoops of teenagers who'd had a little too much freedom. From the side trail near the woods, a stream of partygoers emerged, at least 20 at first. They were lugging coolers, Bluetooth speakers, and even lawn chairs like they were setting up a festival. At the front of the line, Brad, smirking with 2 girls on either side. I stepped onto the porch, flashlight in one hand, badge clipped to my belt. Brad stopped. "Look, man, my mom said you'd come around. We'll clean up after, I swear." "You're trespassing, Brad," I said calmly. "Every single one of you." A few kids chuckled, but it was nervous laughter now. "Come on, we just want a place to hang." "You're being a buzzkill." I pulled out my phone and tapped the screen. The floodlights turned on, illuminating the whole yard. The group blinked like deer caught in headlights. Then I said it. "This property is under live surveillance, and every person here has been recorded, trespassing after being clearly denied permission. You've got 30 seconds to leave before I call it in, and I will be pressing charges." There was a brief moment of hesitation. Then chaos. Kids grabbed their stuff, music shut off, and someone yelled, "Dude! He's serious, he's the chief!" They scattered like startled raccoons, but Brad stayed. "I'm not going anywhere," he growled. My mom said, "Your mom's not the law, Brad." And with that, I radioed in the situation. 2 patrol cars were already nearby, and within 5 minutes, blue and red lights danced through the trees. Brad tried to run. He didn't get far. They brought him back in cuffs. And though I felt a little sorry for him, I also knew it was time someone taught him consequences. Karen showed up 15 minutes later in full meltdown mode, screaming at officers, threatening lawsuits, demanding I be fired. I calmly walked over. "Karen, you can scream all you want, but your son committed a crime tonight, and you helped him do it." She stared at me like I'd slapped her, and for once, she was speechless. Justice served Lakeside. By the next morning, the quiet lake was once again calm, but the fallout from the previous night was just beginning. I sat on the porch with a fresh cup of coffee when my phone buzzed. It was a message from the county attorney. Brad was released to his mother. "Charges are pending. We'll need your statement and surveillance footage." I already had both ready to go. About an hour later, I spotted Karen's SUV creeping down the gravel path again, this time slower. She parked, got out, and approached my cabin, but the fire and fury from yesterday were gone. Today, she looked embarrassed. "Eric," she began, avoiding eye contact, "I just came to say, last night was not how I wanted things to go." "That's good," I said, "because your son's actions and your enabling crossed a line." She nodded slightly. "I know. He's a good kid, but he's been under pressure. Friends, college, image. None of that excuses breaking into someone's private property." I cut in. "He needs discipline, not excuses. And you need to stop acting like HOA power makes you untouchable." Karen paused, then surprised me with a quiet, "You're right. I didn't expect that." "I spoke to the HOA board this morning," she continued. "They're not happy. And frankly, neither am I. I'm stepping down as president." That definitely caught me off guard. She looked up at me, squinting in the morning sun. "You've been fair, even when I wasn't. I don't want this to escalate. I just want to fix it." I studied her for a moment. "Then start by teaching Brad to apologize. Not because a judge tells him to, but because it's the right thing to do." She gave a hesitant nod, turned, and walked back to her car. Later that week, Brad showed up. No friends, no sunglasses, just him, holding a folded piece of paper. "I wrote an apology," he mumbled. "My mom said I had to, but I kind of mean it too. You didn't deserve that." I took the paper, glanced at it, then looked him in the eye. "You've got a long way to go, but this is a start." I watched as he walked back down the path alone. For once, he didn't look entitled. He looked like a kid finally facing reality. That night, I sat on my dock watching the water ripple in the moonlight. The lake was peaceful again. And thanks to one wild weekend, it was finally clear to everyone that even the most entitled HOA family couldn't bully the chief of police.